Hello Arsenal fans and welcome back to the channel. There is a major transfer storm developing at Arsenal and the next few days could be absolutely crucial for Mikel Arteta and the Gunners. Arsenal have already enjoyed a huge summer transfer window, strengthening several areas of the squad, but despite all those additions, the club may not be finished yet. And now, three major attacking stories are dominating the headlines. Gabriel Martinelli could be on his way out of the Emirates. Julian Alvarez remains Arsenal's dream attacking target, with Atletico Madrid reportedly valuing the Argentine at around £128 million to £150 million. And to make things even more complicated, Kenan Yildiz has reportedly suffered an injury that could make a potential move to North London much more difficult. So what exactly is happening? Could Martinelli really leave Arsenal? Can Arsenal afford to make a massive move for Alvarez? And does the Yildiz injury completely change Arteta's plans? Let's get into the latest Arsenal transfer news. Let's start with the player whose Arsenal future appears to be the most uncertain right now, Gabriel Martinelli. The Brazilian has been an important player for Arsenal since arriving from Ituano, and over the years he has produced some huge moments for the club. But his position has changed dramatically. Martinelli has reportedly been left out of Arsenal's first two matchday squads, and that has created serious questions about whether he remains part of Arteta's plans. And now, Al Hilal are pushing to sign him. Reports suggest negotiations are advancing, with an opening proposal understood to be around £47 million, plus potential add-ons. Arsenal, however, are believed to want something closer to £60 million. That difference in valuation is significant, but the fact that talks are progressing makes this a situation Arsenal fans need to watch very carefully. The key question is simple. If Arsenal sell Martinelli, who replaces him? Because Arsenal cannot afford to weaken their attacking options while trying to defend the Premier League title. Martinelli may no longer be Arteta's first choice, but he still provides pace, direct running, experience and the ability to play from the left. And if Arsenal receive around £60 million for him, it would represent a major opportunity to reinvest. But it would also create a vacancy. And that brings us directly to Arsenal's biggest transfer target. Arsenal's interest in Julian Alvarez is certainly not new. The Argentine striker has been one of the names most strongly associated with the Gunners throughout this transfer window. And the latest developments have only increased the speculation. Alvarez is reportedly open to the possibility of joining Arsenal, despite previously preferring a move to Barcelona. That could be extremely important, because Atletico Madrid have repeatedly insisted that they do not want to lose their star striker. However, reports suggest Atletico could potentially consider a huge offer in the region of £128 million to £150 million. Now, let's be realistic. That is an enormous amount of money. Arsenal have already invested heavily in their squad this summer, so spending anything close to £150 million on one player would represent a gigantic financial commitment. But this is exactly where the Martinelli situation becomes interesting. If Arsenal sell Martinelli for around £60 million, could that money help fund another major attacking signing? Perhaps. But even then, Arsenal would still have to spend a huge additional amount to land Alvarez. And there is another complication. Atletico Madrid don't want to sell, so Arsenal would have to convince both the player and the Spanish club. There is also the Barcelona factor. Alvarez has reportedly been interested in Barcelona, meaning Arsenal cannot simply assume that the Argentine will choose North London. But the situation could be changing. The more uncertainty surrounding Alvarez's future at Atletico, the greater Arsenal's opportunity becomes. And if Arsenal can convince him that the Emirates is the perfect place for the next stage of his career, Arteta could potentially land one of the biggest signings in the club's recent history. Imagine an Arsenal attack featuring players such as Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz and Julian Alvarez. That would give Arteta an incredible number of attacking options, but there is still a long way to go. Before Alvarez became Arsenal's clear priority, another exciting attacking name was heavily linked with the Gunners. That player is Kenan Yildiz. The Juventus forward has been admired by Arsenal, but Juventus have made their position clear. They do not want to lose their young star. And now there is another problem. Yildiz has reportedly suffered a foot injury, with some reports suggesting that he could be unavailable for several weeks. If that is confirmed, it could have a major impact on the transfer situation. An injury at this stage of the summer. makes a major transfer much more complicated. A club considering spending huge money on a player will obviously want to be completely comfortable with his physical condition. So for Arsenal, Yildiz may no longer be the straightforward alternative to Alvarez that he appeared to be, and that could leave Arsenal with a much narrower list of options. This is where the Martinelli situation becomes extremely important. If Martinelli leaves, Arsenal need to decide whether they want to replace him directly or use the departure as an opportunity to restructure their attack. The club has already been linked with several attacking players, including Alvarez, Yildiz, Bradley Barcola, and Iliman Ndiaye. But not every target is realistically available, and Arsenal's recruitment team must balance quality, price, and tactical fit. Arteta does not simply need another big name, he needs a player who can fit Arsenal's system, someone capable of combining with Saka, Odegaard and the midfield, someone who can create chances, attack space and contribute goals. That is why Alvarez is so attractive. The Argentine is not simply a traditional number 9, he can operate centrally, drop deeper, combine with teammates and create space for other attackers. That versatility is exactly the type of quality that could appeal to Arteta. While the attacking transfer stories dominate the headlines, there is also an interesting development involving Bruno Guimaraes. The Brazilian midfielder has arrived at Arsenal with a huge reputation after his time at Newcastle, but reports suggest Arteta wants him to adapt certain aspects of his game to fit Arsenal's tactical system. That is hardly surprising. Arteta is extremely demanding when it comes to positional discipline and tactical responsibilities. At Newcastle, Guimaraes had significant freedom to influence games in his own way. At Arsenal, the expectations will be different. He will be expected to understand exactly when to advance, when to hold his position, and how to contribute to Arsenal's build-up. If Guimaraes can adapt quickly, his arrival could become one of the most important developments of Arsenal's season. So let's look at the big picture. Imagine this scenario: Arsenal agree a deal with Al Hilal for Martinelli. The Gunners receive close to their £60 million valuation. That money is then reinvested into the attack. And Arsenal make a serious attempt to sign Julian Alvarez. If that happens, Arsenal fans could look back at the Martinelli sale very differently, because losing a popular player is never easy. But if the money helps Arsenal bring in an elite forward who can transform the attack, the decision could eventually make sense from a football perspective. The danger is that Arsenal sell Martinelli and fail to replace him. That would leave Arteta with fewer options during a season in which Arsenal are expected to compete for major trophies. So the timing is crucial. So what should Arsenal fans expect now? First, watch the Martinelli negotiations. If Al Hilal improve their offer and Arsenal's £60 million valuation is approached, the Brazilian's departure could become very real. Second, keep a close eye on Julian Alvarez. If Arsenal decide they are willing to enter the huge financial territory required to sign him, this could become one of the biggest transfer stories of the summer. Third, monitor Kenan Yıldız's injury. His physical condition could determine whether Arsenal continue to view him as a realistic alternative. And finally, watch Arsenal's other attacking targets, because if Martinelli leaves, the Gunners will need to make a decision. Do they go all in for Alvarez? Do they pursue another winger? Or do they trust the players already inside the squad? Those are the decisions Arteta and Arsenal's recruitment team now face. So Arsenal fans, here is the situation in simple terms. Gabriel Martinelli appears increasingly likely to leave Arsenal, with Al Hilal negotiations advancing and a fee around £60 million reportedly being targeted. Julian Alvarez remains the dream attacking signing, but Atletico Madrid's huge valuation could make the deal extremely difficult. Kenan Yıldız remains an alternative, but his reported injury is another complication, and Arsenal must decide whether selling Martinelli is the first step toward bringing in another major attacking signing. The most exciting possibility for Arsenal supporters is obvious: Martinelli out, Alvarez in. But until an agreement is reached, nothing is guaranteed. The next few days could determine whether Arsenal make one final blockbuster move or enter the season with the squad they already have. One thing is certain: the Arsenal transfer window is far from boring. If you enjoyed this update, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave your prediction in the comments. Do you think Arsenal should sell Gabriel Martinelli for around £60 million? Would you spend £150 million on Julian Alvarez? Or should Arsenal forget about Alvarez and target a cheaper alternative? Let me know your thoughts. Come on, you Gunners.